Welcome to another episode of Objective Bias featuring yours truly. And I have a special guest in the building. Her name is Mandy. She is a voiceover talent, actor, professional, uh, all of the above. Because I am a novice in this space, what is the correct term or title for voiceover individuals?
Voiceover actor or voiceover talent.
Okay. So the reason I brought you on the show is because I came across your page.
Mhm.
Of course, y'all don't know, but we actually work together in real life. Have said hi to each other a few times, and
Yep.
then we became friends on social media. And I saw that you were into the voiceover space, and I was intrigued because the average person like myself, when I think about voiceovers, or many people, we think about movies such as The Lion King,
Hmm.
Avatar, Secret Life of Pets, cartoons like The Simpsons, my favorite Family Guy. And that's the extent of how I guess the normal person thinks about voiceovers.
Right.
But if you would like to expound on what the voiceover space looks like, what are all of the um, opportunities or skill sets that y'all have, whether it's doing courses or voiceovers in the professional space. Would you like to give a
Yeah.
few pointers or more information?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, in particular, I focus on doing voiceovers corporately. So I do corporate communications type voiceovers where I do editorials, educational recordings for different companies. You know how like sometimes when you're um, at work and they give you like a course that you have to review
Right.
and so sometimes it's like you hear that voice that's playing. I do those as well as message on hold. There's just different avenues that you can take with the voiceover industry.
Hmm.
But for me, I've been focused mostly on corporate type of voiceovers.
And it's great that you provided that information because for me, when I don't even think about a real individual talking when
Right.
I am listening to a course or a tutorial or an instructional video, whatever that may be. I just in my head, I just think automatically as AI. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
think. I think most people probably feel that way, but there's an actual person that is behind the voice. Could you go into the process of like preparation, or is it like a strenuous deal? Like, can you explain how that works on that end?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're getting ready to record a voiceover for, some sort of educational material, it will most likely take some time, right? Depending on how long the script is,
Hmm.
it could be a couple minutes or hours. It just kind of just depends. But yeah, you're gonna want to take breaks in between because, of course, what you want to do is sound natural. You don't want to sound like a robot, and right now that's what AI sounds like.
Oh,
It sounds like a
definitely.
robot.
But the,
So
because I'd be so confused with AI because in for me I'm like I guess the old head in the space. I don't really care for it because of it's not natural, it's not organic. But I cannot distinguish between AI and a real person anymore, and it kind of frightens me,
yeah.
respectfully. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. So when you are getting ready to record, just prepping yourself, of course, doing some exercises before you get started, making sure that you're hydrated, and then just going at it. You may hear yourself as you're recording, oh, that doesn't sound right. So you want to
Hmm.
stop and do it again. But it's something that I feel like you have to enjoy, right?
Hmm.
You have to enjoy being interested in communicating what it is that the message that you're trying to get across.
Okay. So with that being said, because you made mention of how long it could possibly take,
Yeah.
a few hours, few minutes, whatever the case may be for you in the very beginning to up to now, what is the longest it has taken you to complete like a voiceover assignment?
The longest one took me a couple days, and that is
Mm.
because not only did I record it, I had to, of course, you have to edit it as well, but the length of the script was extremely long. So, sometimes you can get a couple lines,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a couple pages. right? So sometimes it'll take a while for you to record it, and then after you do that, you have to edit it, and then you want to clean it out, and
Okay.
then send it in. So that one took me a couple days
So do
to
you
do.
edit your own
I do.
stuff? Oh, so you're overall talent. Okay. Um. So with that being said, so I used to be a rapper in my past life.
Okay.
Well, it was short lived. so the reason I bring that up is because I want to ask, when you are in that mode of, recording or doing a voiceover, whatever it may be, do you have to be in a certain environment? Do you have to set the mood, so to speak? Because I remember when I started, I kind of had an approach, and again, I don't rap anymore, people. I've been put that down over a decade ago. But I remember I used to have an approach as if I was performing, so it could come off as, when you see an artist on stage, how they're, performing for their fans or whatever. I used to try to hype myself up. I used to imagine I'm in a club or whatever the case may be. So for you, is there like a specific atmosphere you like to set up,
Oh
or
yeah, for
are you
sure, for
okay?
sure.
What does your atmosphere look like? Can you take us through
So
that?
my atmosphere has to be quiet. So I usually record first thing in the morning when everyone is asleep and it's quiet outside,
Okay.
or when the kids are put in bed.
Okay.
So it's nice and quiet.
Definitely.
I usually, make sure that I'm hydrated.
Of course.
Probably play some tunes just to kind of loosen up a little bit. Usually part my hair
Oh, okay.
because I'm most likely gonna get hot and sweat. Um,
You will get hot. You will get hot.
because when
Yes.
you're doing voiceovers, you want to make sure that you're using your hands and you're talking because it's your authentic self, and I
Definitely.
naturally talk like that. So I want to make sure that I'm comfortable, and so I'm gonna put my hair up. I'm usually gonna have on a huge sweater, and then I
Hmm.
just go at
Okay.
it.
That sounds about right. Well, of course, like I said, when I used to be in that space, I used to have to. Well, when I first started, when I got, because I was rapping for maybe, I want to say, about approximately like 5 6 years.
Mhm.
And when I first started, and I'm gonna ask you about this as well, I was extremely nervous. My first ever recording session. And so for me, my first recording session, unlike you, because you said sometimes it can take, a few hours or days, depending on whatever the project may be. My first recording session took me 2 hours to do. And once I got used to it, I could knock it out in an hour. And also, when I first started, I used to have to have me a drink or two, because again, I was nervous to hear my own voice. And even though I have a sports background and I was used to playing in the, hundreds of thousands of people or whatever, it was just something about being in the room with one or two people that it made my anxiety go up a bit. So I first started with writing down all of my material and reading from, whether it's a notebook or my phone or what have you. So in that space, do you read from something, or do you try to memorize it so it can kind of come off organically for you? How does that work?
So when usually you'll get a script from a client,
Hmm.
and then they tell you the type of style that they want. So they may be looking for something that's professional, something that sounds conversational, confident, trustworthy. So you know the type of style that you're, giving the client, and then you want to read the script word for word, because the reality is you may not really know too much about that particular product or that service, and so yeah, you're going to be reading it word for word. But what I like to do is, as I'm going through my script, I'm going to mark, areas that I want to make sure that I'm pausing at,
Hmm.
even though there isn't a period, because naturally that's how I would say it. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'll go through a script and kind of mark and make my, notes on there, like make sure I go up on this word, or make sure I go down or stay down on this word. So then, and then of course, you just get the work
Oh, okay. Um, I want to. You mentioned at the beginning of the show, you spoke about passion. Um, for me, podcasting or having conversations became a passion of mine, right? I was a athlete growing up. I played basketball. That was my passion. That's what I just knew I was gonna do for the remainder of, not the remainder of my life, but eventually professionally, and things of that nature. And then things happened. It didn't work out, so I had to find my next act, so to speak. And a lot of people, even my peers, have come into the podcast space, but eventually they stop. I'm going on 7+ years, and I'm gonna keep going because I love to do it. Like, even if nothing comes of this, I will continue because I really love doing this. Um, one, and I believe you are, but I still have to ask. One, are you passionate about doing voiceovers or being a voiceover talent? And two, even though we did discuss this off camera, I want you to get into what led you up to being a voiceover talent.
Yeah, sure. So, just speaking to what you said, when you're naturally or creative, you always have to figure out what your outlet is. And for me, I started off as a journalist. I went to school for broadcasting, decided that I wanted to be a reporter. And the reason was is I liked the idea of telling a story.
Right.
I like to be able to connect with people in the community
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to be that source of trust in a way. And so I went down that route, decided that, reporting is what I wanted to do. I tried it out and realized, not exactly.
Right.
So then I wanted to do something that kind of transferred those skills to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I transferred into public relations and marketing. And that's currently the space that I'm in. But I kind of felt like something's kind of missing. Even though it's
Definitely.
giving me some of that creativity, there is still an element of it that I'm still missing.
Right.
And it wasn't until COVID
Mm-hmm.
when I had time to think. I think we all did,
Yeah, had a lot of
right?
time. We wasn't
We
going
all had
anywhere.
time,
We
and
were
so
literally stuck in the house.
no, seriously,
Couldn't do
that's
anything.
what yeah, that's what it was. But it was during COVID where I was like, you know what, I feel like I should really explore this. I've
Mm-hmm.
always done voiceovers for different companies as a marketing and PR, and they always ask me to do things, but I never thought to myself, wait, I can actually make money doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It was just something that I like doing because it was
Light
fun,
bulb.
right? And so that's when I decided to take some courses
Mm.
on voiceovers, and I did, in person and online,
Mm.
and then decided, what, I'm going to take a shot on me, right? Why not? And so it's been great since then, just being able to connect with other creatives,
Mm.
right? And being that person that these companies and businesses can rely on to be able to tell their stories.
Right.
Mhm.
So with that, the second part, would you say that it's definitely something you consider a passion for you now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the reality is even if I wasn't making money, I
Mm-hmm.
would still be doing
Right, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people they find or they see someone being successful in whatever it may be, whether it's for you voiceovers or with me podcasting, or some people. Well, I know especially with me with podcasting, everybody think they can have a conversation and
it.
make it
Right.
entertaining, and
Right.
they
Mm-hmm.
don't understand what comes with it. They kind of think they're gonna find lightning in a bottle with said opportunity or space or what have you. And I always say if you're not passionate about something,
Yeah.
it's gonna seem like work. You know what I'm saying? And I always encourage any and everyone to find their passion.
Mm-hmm.
And with you being passionate about it and, finding out, oh, you can make money off of your passion, did you know prior to, knowing the money aspect of this, or were you passionate prior to that? Like, when did the passion like click? Like, damn, I really thoroughly enjoy this. Like you just said, I would do this if I wasn't making money off of it. When did it click? Like, I really love doing this.
So it clicked when people would actually call me, like clients and people that I've worked with, in business, would call me and say, "Hey, can you record this for me real quick? Or can you record this commercial real quick for me? I just want
Mm-hmm.
to. I need a nice voice on it." And I'm like, "Sure." In the middle of a chaotic life, right?
Right.
Little kids working, and I'm like, "Sure, I'll do it for free,
So people were just
for free."
not I wouldn't say randomly, but just people just gravitated
They
toward to you
gravitated, yeah,
with
they did because they
these.
loved. I was doing things for the city at the time, where
Okay.
so I was able to shoot things, record it, and then put my voice on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people started seeing that, they were like, "Oh, can you do this for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
can you do this for me? Yeah, sure, why not?"
Right.
And it was for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said, it wasn't until COVID where I was just thinking about it. And I'm like, that it's the one thing I can do that I enjoy that I'm not getting paid for, why not just see if this works?
Right. So, what is the process of booking you, so to speak, or inquiring about your services? Of course, you have your page, and I went on there, and you can inquire about your services through there.
Mhm.
But how's that process like? Is it something that you intentionally promote, or because you have like a, I guess, clientele, or you're known for it, people kind of come to you, or is it a combination of the two?
I would say it's a combination of the two. What I've done for my business is kind of rely on the connections that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to get a lot of bookings through people that I've worked with in the past. But I've also depended on like social media, just posting on there, and had companies reach out to me there. I actually got a contract that I signed with a company out in England.
Oh,
They found me on LinkedIn.
oh.
Just a random post. They reached out to me, and I was like, sure. And
Mm.
I'm contracted with them, and I do voiceovers for them. So it kind of just depends. I think putting yourself out there everywhere
Mm-hmm.
is the way to go.
Were you, even though you realized, you could make revenue from it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something you enjoyed doing, was there ever a moment? And the reason I ask this is because when I started to get interested in podcasting, I didn't know where to begin, where to start, right? My first episode, even though I knew I wanted to do it, I was nervous,
Of
right?
course.
But um, also, like I said, I was with a group at first, and then when I went ventured off on my own, I had to literally get out my comfort zone. You wouldn't be able to tell, but I really don't like to talk to people.
What?
But I don't know. I don't know if it's if
What?
I'm a introverted, extroverted, or
Mm-hmm.
what, or extroverted, introverted. I don't know. I'm one of those. But when I got in the space of talking, it was something that was natural for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I remember prior to venturing on off and having my own podcast, I was like, I need to get out my comfort zone. I need to start doing, and what I did was I started doing lives on Instagram and TikTok, having conversations to like kind of build up my product. Mind you, like I didn't want to do that, but I knew I had to get out my comfort zone and do that. Was there ever a moment to where you had to get out your comfort zone and do something, knowing I don't really want to do this, but because I know I want to be a voiceover talent, I need to do these specific things or take these specific steps? And if so, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're completely right. I think in this industry, it is important to build relationships with people. And
Hmm.
so I'm going into an industry where I didn't know anybody. I just decided, you know what, today I want to be a voiceover artist. I'm going to make this happen.
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
So I thought it would be important for me to network with other voiceover artists because I kind of want to pick your brain too to kind of see
Hmm.
what's going on. What has it been for you in your experience? And so yeah, I had to put myself out there just by networking with
Hmm.
other people
Right.
who have years of experience in doing it. Where I'm a newbie technically coming in, and
Hmm.
so yeah, totally having to go out there and put yourself out there to network with other people.
Right.
Um, and like you said, like sometimes it's I don't know if it's introvert or whatever.
Yeah, it's one
I'm
of those
I'm
things.
more
I don't
I'm more
know.
of a vibe person.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
I have to scope the space, scope
Hmm.
the room, then I gotta figure out who I'm gonna talk to. It's a whole thing. Um but that was where I had to kind of like push myself to be like, nah, you gotta network with other people
Right.
because what if they know somebody that,
Hmm.
you know, they they can refer you to? Because the reality is a client might like my voice, but they might not like my voice. They
Right.
might like so and so's voice.
Hmm.
And if I could recommend so and so, I would.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, I just remember, even though like, okay, so like for me, I get inspiration from shows or people like, and don't kill me for this in the comments, please. I like Joe Button as far as his platform and what he's built. Charlemagne the God, his platform and what he's built. Not exactly what they do, but
Mhm.
what they've built. So that's where you know, draw my inspiration from as far as my goal. And again, it's not to do exactly what they have done, but that's, they have provided a blueprint for me to, strive for. Was Is there anyone, of course I'm not going to be familiar, but anyone that's in the voice over space probably will know, was there any, do you have any individuals that you drew inspiration from, or like you saw what they were doing, or you heard and you like, oh, that's neat. That kind of gives me some sense of direction of where I want to go, even if I'm not going to do exactly what they did, but now I have like some direction of where I'm going. Specific people,
Yeah, of course.
organizations, or whatever.
So I don't know. Maybe this is just some weirdness about me,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever I would like listen to commercials,
Mm-hmm.
or if I would be watching a show, and you know how like sometimes you hear that announcer in the background that's
Yeah.
talking, and
Mm-hmm.
I would always be like, who is that? I don't know if other people ever thought that, but I was like, whose voice is that?
Mm-hmm.
I've always been that. Like I feel like I hear the extraness, right? And it was Joe Cipriano. He is like a legend in
Okay.
voiceovers.
Mm-hmm.
So he started off in radio,
Okay.
and then eventually, started doing voiceovers for companies, um, TV shows. Um, I mean, anything that you can think of, award shows, announcing, all of that. And when you hear his voice, you know it's him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if you, I'm sure you know his voice. You probably just don't know his name,
Right, but that's what I said.
but that's what I'm saying.
I'm going
You
to
know
look
his
him up
voice,
after
yes.
this show. It's
Um,
probably tonight.
yeah, but it's the fact that you recognize that voice, and then that voice becomes your comfort. Like
Okay.
when you always hear him, you're like, oh, I know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear this voice. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And so for me, that's my inspiration to be my authentic self, which is what I like that he is in terms of the way that he delivers
Mm-hmm.
his voiceovers. He's very authentic and conversational.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound like a robot.
Right.
Um, and that's what I strive to be. So that would be my inspiration when I think about voiceovers.
Okay. Now with the voiceover space, me, what I like to do is how I reached out to you
Mm-hmm.
because I saw what you were doing. We had the same workplace in common. You're a black person. I rock with my black people. Black love all day. You feel me? I always like to work with people that have a positive mission, or they're doing something productive or also interesting. But the podcast space is very competitive. I'm not sure why, but because it's room for everybody, just like
Absolutely.
in every avenue. But
Yeah.
amongst I'll say amongst I'm just saying amongst black people, you know how we get down. There's a crabs in the barrel
Oh,
mindset
well,
that
that's
is
unfortunate.
it is, but I
It's
don't
the truth.
understand it, but it's a thing. So is the voiceover space competitive, or are y'all more of a family oriented
It's so funny that you
environment or
say that, because I
community?
remember when I was talking with a colleague of mine about voiceovers, and she also does voiceovers, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny because I feel like in the voiceover industry, we're not competitive like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're very much like, hey, this is what I did. Here's my connections. Because reality is if a client doesn't want you, they just don't want your voice,
Right.
and it's not because you sound bad. They just don't like your voice,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't rock
It
with
is
them. Is
it
it?
is it
They
is
they
what it
don't
is,
jive with it,
right?
so to speak.
So yeah. So I feel like in the voiceover industry, everybody is very chill, and
Hmm.
they are not gatekeepers.
That's the
They
thing.
give you
That's
information, and they're like, hey, have you looked into this? Hey, have you thought about taking acting classes? This is where I went. Stuff like that's how we jive
hmm
in the voiceover industry. So I don't,
that's beautiful.
it's
That is beautiful.
it's really
Did
nice.
do y'all hear
It's
this?
really nice.
We need the podcast community to take notes, and the reason I say that, and I understand it. I don't get upset. I'm not disappointed, but I have come across a few people, whether I've known in the past, I'm colleagues with, or whatever the case may be. I've made several attempts over time to, network with them, or come on their show, or ask to come on their show, or
Yeah.
invite them to my show. And sometimes, or a lot of the times, is that okay? Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Oh yeah, we're gonna get together, or yeah, we'll work together. And after that, it's crickets. And I get to the point to where respectfully, of course, I just stop reaching out, because I
Mm-hmm.
see what it is,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to ask this because a lot of spaces it's very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear that your space is not like that
Hmm.
is
That's
very
my experience.
amazing
That's
to
my
hear.
experience. I'm
If
going
from
to
your
be honest with
experience.
you. It's my experience, and I've talked to other voiceover artists as well, and they said the same thing.
Hmm.
It's all positive vibes. Like,
That's great.
why not?
That's
There's
great.
more
That's
than enough
great.
space for everybody to be able to do this.
Okay,
So,
so with my athletic background, I
mhm.
am advocate of practice.
Okay.
Practicing your craft when the things that you do while nobody's looking it points to your integrity with what you do. So for me, um, when I got into let me go further back. I'm sorry. When I used to play basketball, I used to if I'm not actually practicing like from a tangible
Hmm.
perspective, I literally used to watch YouTube videos of players and looking at what they do, what movements or what skill sets that they have that I can apply to my game
Hmm.
to, you know, add to my talent or my skill set. No, I don't kind of I do that with podcasting. Once I got into podcasting, I started to realize it was like almost an exchange of what I did with basketball. I would go to YouTube and just watch different podcasts. And I didn't realize it when I was doing it, right? I was just doing it because I was interested in podcasting, period.
Yeah.
But I started to pick up on stuff like platforms
Hmm.
and how they're interacting or the line of questioning or the setup of
Yeah.
their space, the cameras and things of that nature. And to this date I still watch podcasts, um various podcasts, to not only because I enjoy it to but to learn and add to what I do as a voiceover talent. What would you consider your practice or you working on your craft? What does that look like for you?
It's funny because my my kids are always like, they'll be doing their homework, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a great opportunity for me to just go online and look for a script, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll just start reading. I'll just read scripts just to read it
Mm-hmm.
wherever I'm at. Or if I'm like in the car, I'm listening to those commercials that are playing in the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear what that person that is delivering that voiceover. I want to hear what they're saying, how they're doing their inflections. Like I want all of that.
Right.
So that's what I'm listening to, and I'm constantly practicing. I don't care if I'm at work. Okay, if I have 5 seconds where I can just sit down and be like, you know what, let me read this script out loud,
Mm-hmm.
just to practice. That's what I do. I'm constantly practicing. I'm just constantly saying to myself, why not get better, right? And then of
Of
course
course.
watching other voiceover artists as well, connecting with them on social media, you know, taking tips from them. How do they prep for a voiceover project?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? Oh, what can I implement? Into my strategy. So just constantly being on the lookout on ways that you can learn. And then of course, taking a course, getting feedback from other experts in the field. That's the way that you can grow as a voiceover artist. And you gotta be
Mm-hmm.
okay. You gotta be okay with somebody telling you like you need to do this better.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
have to be okay with that because the
Mm-hmm.
reality is none of us are going to ever be perfect, right? But if
Right.
somebody can guide you to help you get to your next level, you got to be open to that
I agree. I equate that to with athletes being coachable,
for sure.
or being able to accept constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about it is, as you mentioned, everybody's not perfect. You're not going to know anything. I mean, everything. I'm sorry, and you don't know. From a different perspective or a different vantage point, somebody can give you information or an idea that you was like, wow, I didn't even think about it like that.
Right.
And it's not because yours doesn't work. It's just that they've seen or they're listening or in their experience, this
Mm-hmm.
may, be a better approach, whether it's how your voice sounds or maybe, like you said, try reading in your free time
Yeah.
random scripts so you can get used to things of that nature. So yeah, I've seen that, not like just with other people, but when me and you met each other when I went on your page. Even I think it was today or yesterday. I saw you post something on your story like tips to things to watch out for when with voiceovers or whatever. And I actually read it like I was a voiceover person. I'm
Yeah,
like, if this is in depth, like there's a
this
lot
is
that
real.
good.
This is
Yeah, it's like
real.
it's things that I would never think about because I'm not in that space, but it's really a thing,
It's
and
real.
and just seeing that lets me know that you take your craft
Oh,
seriously.
for sure.
Not only is it for fun, but you're really striving to improve, evolve, get better, whatever the case may be. So now, with that being said, how long? Okay, you said the pandemic, but as far as your first voiceover, your first project where you actually
Like
got
launched
paid,
a
yes.
business and
When
got
did
paid.
that happen? When was you became an official voiceover talent? When did that
Oh my
happen?
gosh. I would say 2.5 years ago when I got
Okay.
paid for my very first project. I don't know how to explain it. Because I was like, I was doing this for free all this time. But that was when I got my first paycheck. And that's when I felt like, gosh, I really can do this. Like
Hmm.
this could be really done. I could do this. And so I just kept at it. But I felt like I was in my head, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like you work a corporate job, I'm busy, I have kids, I have a family, and now I'm launching this business,
Hmm.
right? And then it's like, how am I going to juggle it all?
Right.
That was one of my biggest concerns. But I've been able to make it work. You know, if you love something, you're going to always make room for it. And it's paying
Well, that's lovely.
off.
That's lovely.
It's paid off.
So, one thing I've experienced transitioning from sports to uh, podcasting or just talking in general, you have, I'll call them haters, or individuals that are so used to you doing one thing that when you try to grow into a different space, they're like, they don't say it directly, but there's a lot of implicated vibes like, oh, I don't, you should you should do this or you should talk about that. One thing with me, everybody that kind of knew me prior to this, they wanted me to get into coaching and things of that nature, which I did try. I just
Yeah.
wasn't passionate about coaching as I was a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got into the podcast space, what are you talking about, sports? No, I'm not talking about sports. Now, I'm not against talking about sports. Of course, it has to be correlated to life situations versus
Mm-hmm.
me being an analyst or giving my breakdown of a game or things of that nature, because I'm not trying to do that. But what I noticed is, even if it wasn't directly said, people that knew me or knew, my foundation of sports, they were not really receptive to the idea of me becoming a podcast person.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever have like moments to where there was like pushback or someone suggesting maybe you should try something else, or just not supporting you in what you're doing because you should have been a journalist? What you doing this voiceover stuff? Journalism is your space. You know what I'm saying? Because some
Yeah.
people can hate in without saying anything.
True.
Lack of support or
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I remember when I decided to leave journalism
Mm-hmm.
and the reception I got from everybody, I felt like everyone around me was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And I was like, "I don't want to do it, but you don't understand." I mean, everybody. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm done." I remember calling my husband, who was my fiance at the time. I was like, "Come get me." I was in North Carolina at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and I was like, "I'm not doing this anymore." Everybody told me that I was crazy. But when I went into doing voiceovers, it was so funny because all of those people were like, I can see that.
Mm.
I can see where you're going. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody around me was positive when I decided that I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do voiceovers.
Okay.
So,
Yes, like that. And you know what? Staying on this topic, as I mentioned, there were implications of I should be doing sports or I should be coaching. Oh, it's money in coaching. Yeah, I know that, but I'm not passionate to be a coach. Like,
mm-hmm.
how I know I'm passionate in something is, again, it goes back to the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the work in the background and it don't feel like work, that's how I know I'm passionate about it.
Excellent.
One thing when I used to play ball, I hated preseason workouts. I hated preseason conditioning. But guess what? I did it because I was passionate about playing basketball,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Transitioning to coaching, right? I did it for 3 years. When I say I used to be so stressed out when it came to talking to these parents all the time, dealing with these kids that were just doing this because their parents had money
Oh.
and they weren't passionate about the actual
Mm-hmm.
game, the craft, as I was, as
Mm-hmm.
you know, as passionate as I was.
Yeah.
And it was funny. What happened was what made me get out of coaching. I mean, I would coach if the opportunity presented itself. Like, I'm just not willing to go through the grind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I know I'm not passionate about
Yeah.
it. But if the money was right, you know what I'm saying, and the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity presented itself, I'm there all day. You
Right.
know,
I
but
understand.
um so what happened with me was my first year I was coaching, my team was horrendous.
Oh.
I was given the weakest team in the organization because I
Oh
was this was my
no.
first coaching stint as a head coach, which I can understand that. I'll take my licks and do my thing. We
Mm-hmm.
won one game that entire season, but I was like, okay. So there was a lot of weekends I was a little upset, which was cool. Second year we improved, started to place, well, we didn't win any tournaments, but at least we started to place, second or
Yeah.
third. So that's a big improvement from not winning a game the
Oh, for
entire
sure.
season, or winning one game to, starting to place. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see,
Mm-hmm.
this is cool. And then the third year came around. I understand why some players left because there were other organizations that had more, I wouldn't say more connections, whether it was, for college scouts or
Yeah.
just had more funding in their, organization. I came to start my third year and I saw the team that I was about to have.
Mm-hmm.
I went to uh the head of basketball operations or director and I was like, I can't do this year. I'm sorry. So
I get it.
the first day of tryouts, when I saw what I was going to be working with, I was like, yeah, I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
Like, respectfully, what I'm saying? That's how, like,
That's.
yeah, I'm just not passionate about it. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
knew, and I didn't want it to be a disservice to the kids because I wasn't going to have my heart into it
Yeah.
as I had been previously, knowing I have to start back over. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's how it felt for me when I was doing reporting. I woke up one day, I was like, I don't want to do this. This is just not
right.
it.
So, and then also with that, and this is how I kind of knew I was transitioning to something else. When I was in the basketball space,
Mm-hmm.
I had to carry myself a certain way, meaning, and of course, everybody wants to carry themselves in, a respectful manner
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. But when you're an athlete or somebody that some, people look at or you have fans, whatever the case may be, it's almost like you're not the average human being, meaning you can't ever mess up. You can't ever have a slip up. You have to, create this illusion that you do nothing but play basketball. In my instance,
Mm-hmm.
like I remember in college, we literally had courses or training in etiquette as far as how we moved on campus and don't get caught with a drink in your hand, like as far
Mm-hmm.
as pictures are concerned and things of that nature. So with coaching I started to want to be more myself versus being in this box to where I have to move a certain way or present myself a certain way. I'm not a bad person, but
I understand.
I can't talk about things I want to, or
True.
be in a space to where I I can speak about, let's say, like current events, our president, posting racist stuff. If I'm in that basketball space, I can't really talk about that
Mm-hmm.
because that's bringing even though I don't really talk about politics, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't even touch it because I'm
Right.
around parents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. So, um, yeah, I just found myself gravitating to this space, and I've loved it ever since. And I'm gonna continue, even if I never make it. I will continue to do this. This is something I love to do. But with that, it helps me to transition to my next question, or I'm gonna present a situation for you, and I want you to, I guess, provide advice for anyone that kind of runs into this specific situation.
Okay.
So, I had a former friend. We actually used to be best friends, right? There was a mutual friend of ours, and this was years ago. He was getting into the voiceover space. I was unaware of it, but my former friend, who was a good friend, he brought it to my attention. He said, I'm gonna call him John. You heard John is starting to do voiceovers right now?" And then he started making fun of him. And I'm like, why would you make fun of somebody trying to, trying
Do
their
something.
hand in a space? Maybe you're not unfamiliar. I mean, maybe you're not familiar with it, but why would you knock someone that is trying to do something that may not be, um, I'm not going to say common because it is common, but
Mm-hmm.
for the average individual, we don't think about voiceovers. Like I said, that's why I wanted you to bring you on here. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to get in this space, but let's say their peers are making fun of them or downplaying their desire to get in the voiceover industry? Like, how would you advise someone to push through that and, do what they love, which could be voiceover?
For sure. I think not only with just this, but just in life generally, sometimes you just have to turn off the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
I'm not trying to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
You may not agree with what I'm trying to do, but you just turn that off and you just keep going. You apply yourself,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is even if you were doing something that everyone thought you should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
people are always going to have something to say, right?
Right.
You can't please everybody.
Definitely.
So the reality is why not do something that makes you happy? If you want to do it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only person that's keeping yourself from trying.
Right.
You just never
I
know.
I agree. So with that, if someone doesn't know how to get into the voice over space,
Yeah.
because I've had individuals like contact me, how do I start a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? What do I need? And my advice to them is, for one, you just have to start,
Oh, for
because
sure.
every podcast is different,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's visual like this or audio or online, like on a social media platform. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to start, and then from there you will figure out which, what works for you or what lane in the podcast space you can live in.
Right.
So as far as voiceover, or the voiceover community or business,
Mm-hmm.
how would you instruct someone on starting if they was like, Mandy, I want to do voice?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing you want to do is take a course. I know that sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, boo, this is so boring.
That would be me. I
But
gotta take a
the
course.
reason why I say that is
But
because
yeah.
you want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you really understand what you're about to get yourself into. So when you take a voiceover course, like I took my courses at Atlanta Voiceover Studios in Atlanta.
Okay.
They have those classes where you go and they talk to you about the business of voiceovers,
Mm-hmm.
what it is, what it means. And then you get the opportunity to read scripts. They give you feedback. It's a great opportunity.
Right.
And then of course, you meet with other people as well. But that should let you know, is this something that I really want to do? Because the reality is you're going to have to buy
Yep.
equipment. And
It
equipment ain't
costs anything
listen.
you get into, you're gonna have to invest in yourself.
Right. So
Definitely.
what you don't want to do is just run out and buy equipment and you're not sure
Right.
that you even want to do this. And then
Mm-hmm.
of course you're like, well, maybe I need to buy the most expensive equipment.
Right.
You don't. That's why it's important to kind of do your research first before you jump, what is it, head deep or knee deep?
Head first.
Head first. There you go. Before you do that, you don't want to. You kind of want to make sure that you're sure about it. But you can also do just some online research,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can go online and just type in, voiceover resources. There's tons of things that you can read about regarding the voiceover industry. But I think it's important to get in front of people that are actually doing it to make sure you are sure you want to do it. Because when
Right.
you got to go buy your first microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and those can be costly, you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
So that's what I would say.
So pretty much in the voiceover space, from your experience and what you know, you really can't skip that initial process of
I
knowing
wouldn't.
exactly what
I
you're
wouldn't
getting
recommend it.
yourself into.
I wouldn't recommend it because the reality is you may think you like it until you realize I don't. This sounded cool in my head until I had to go into a booth and
Right.
you have an audio engineer telling you said the word wrong. You have to do it 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? And then now you're like, crap, this is annoying. And I don't like this.
Right.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's important to get into a space where you are for sure. You get to try it out 1st
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they tell you, hey, this is some cheaper equipment
Right.
that you can purchase to start off.
And I always recommend that do the cheap stuff first
Always.
and build from there versus
sure.
dropping a few hundred or 1,000, depending on whatever the case
Don't
may
do
be.
that.
Start off small and see what
Mhm.
works. And I've gone through several mics. At home, when I first started doing this virtually, and headset equipment and
Yeah.
purchasing software and all of the
Mhm.
above. But I went the cheapest route first, so I could kind of know, what trial and error, pretty
For
much,
sure.
see what works versus what doesn't, and then I'm like, okay, I know I have to put this amount of money into this, or I need to purchase this, or whatever the case may be. But you never know until, like you said, with I guess voiceover, um, with the voiceover business, taking a course and getting in front of people that actually do it, so you can kind of have direction, and
Yeah.
it's just not something that you can just hit the ground running with.
Correct.
Okay. Um, Another question. So, and y'all, just to let y'all know, this is all off the top, like a toupee. That was a bar. That's from my rap days. Just had to let y'all know that. But so even when I was rapping, I was always told I had the voice for whatever I was doing. I had a nice voice, or
Yeah, you have a nice
for
voice.
for rapping, or
Mhm.
just talking in general. Even at our place of employment, I talk on the phones every now and then. I guess someone says you have a nice
You
voice.
have a nice voice.
So for somebody that's doing voiceover, was there a point in time where someone that's literally said, "Man, you have a nice voice. You have a voice for this or a voice for that." Did someone ever just kind of give you like reassurance or tell you something that you didn't know? Because I never had an idea that I had a certain type of voice.
Mhm.
Never. I was
Yeah.
never told that until I started rapping, or until I started
Mhm.
talking on the phones, or podcasting. Like, was there ever a moment you was like, "Oh, do I? I didn't know,"
Yeah.
or "I always hated my voice," because that's the thing. A lot of people
I
say they
know.
hate their
Always
voice.
hearing
So
yourself.
has
You're
that
like,
ever been a thing for you?
I've always had people say, yeah, you have a nice voice. I've heard people say that before. But I think the one thing that took me off guard was I was out with my kids and someone I was probably yelling at Charlie. And she was like, Amanda, I didn't even see her. I haven't seen this woman since high school. Okay. And she was like, Amanda, is that you? And I'm turning around trying to look at who's calling me.
Right.
It was somebody from high school. She was like, I know your voice.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you have a distinct voice. I knew it was you. And it was at that point where it clicked. Where I was like, oh yeah, my voice is distinct, isn't it?
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna do something with it.
All right.
You know, that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is the thing. Like, this is my voice.
Right. Well, just the first conversation I had with you,
Uh-huh.
not just saying hello or good morning or whatever, exchanging those pleasantries. I could tell immediately. You was like, yeah, she's a voiceover person. It's not, yeah, like immediately. It was just how you projected your word usage, your cadence. I pay attention to stuff like that, and because I'm in this space, it has naturally been something that I've caught on to, not even trying to, but I'm just like, I listen to that because, again, when I was told these things about my voice, I had no idea. And I was like, what? Do I? Really?
Yeah.
So I started to pay attention to how people talk, project, and, the words they use and things of that nature. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I don't know you from a can of paint right now, but just looking at your page and what you post and your content and just your professional setup, and now I'm talking to you. Yeah, she does this for real. This is not a game.
This
It's
is for
not play
real.
pimping.
This
You
is for
feel me?
real. Hmm.
So, of course, you said you mainly operate in the corporate space and things of that nature. Have you ever been interested in like the things that the regular people know
Yeah.
about, movies, shows,
Commercials,
commercials?
radio. Yeah,
Have
absolutely.
those opportunities ever presented themselves, or how would you try to get yourself in a position to where you're noticed for those particular or potential opportunities?
Yeah, so I started off, as you know, this is what I'm focusing on because
Mhm.
this is where I am able to make my
Right.
bread and butter,
Hmm.
right? But that is ultimately the goal is to eventually go into where I can do some commercials, right? I
Hmm.
would love to be able to do that. But usually that comes with, getting an agent and all of those things.
Hmm.
I'm not quite there yet. I have not started sending my stuff out to agents yet.
Hmm.
I do feel like at some point I will, but right now I'm actually content where I'm at.
Hmm.
But I think that is a goal for me is to kind of branch out a little bit further where I'm able to do like commercial spots on the radio and TV. Like I love to do that. That sounds fun.
That's why I
Why
asked
not?
because, like I said, eventually I would love to. Anybody listening? I would love to have my own radio show,
I think smart to give
host
it to me.
something,
That's fine.
or as I mentioned, Joe Budden earlier, have that type of platform to where,
Yeah.
I have something that creates revenue and things of that nature. That's my goal. And I also, just to ask an additional question to what I previously asked, I also want to create like a business or a platform where I have other businesses under my main my main or my foundation, which would be media or podcasting or what have you,
Yeah.
branching out, creating a brand, creating an entity, where I have, like, say, I have a hand in the streaming space, even though that's for the kids, have a hand in gaming or, just anything media related. Is that something that is possible for voiceovers? Are there like umbrella or teams or organizations, foundations, entities, LLCs, whatever you want to call it? Is that something that is a thing for voiceover talent or
Yeah,
professionals?
there's definitely different types of voiceovers you can do, right? You can go
Mm-hmm.
into animation, you can go into doing audiobooks. There's definitely different sectors that you can focus on.
Right.
I just so happen just to focus on what I my voice
Mm-hmm.
leans itself to
Right.
at this time. But yeah, there's definitely things that you can get into
Mm-hmm.
outside of just doing corporate voiceovers.
So, do you want to? Okay, me
So
per.
I like for me,
For you,
for me,
yes.
I'm not sure if I would want to do voiceovers for a game. I
Okay.
just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But that isn't what I say to myself that I want to do tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think my focus is I would do a commercial for, I don't know, Burger King or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think. But is it a possibility that I would be interested in voicing a character or a game or
Right.
a show? Maybe.
So would you have okay, like so I would love to have like an entity to where I provide opportunities for other people.
Mhm.
Would that be something that you would be interested in, or would you be more interested in just being a solo act? Would you like to have work with people, have people under you, or are you just kind of like I kind of move at my own, at the sound of my own drum, or like how does that look for you, or have you ever given any thought to it?
Work for me, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Right.
Like I do my own thing,
No, there ain't
right?
nothing wrong with that. That's what I asked.
And doing my own thing has brought me very far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's what I would focus on.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of if anybody ever wanted to reach out to me like, hey, I have some questions regarding voiceovers, I am an open book.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've talked to other people who have said that they are interested in doing voiceovers. Can I provide them with guidance? Yeah, sure. I'll give you some contacts and so forth and so on. But in terms of like having people underneath me and all of that stuff, I'm not sure if that's what I want.
Yeah, I asked because, of course, that's not everybody's,
That's everybody's
goal
thing.
or thing or just something that they're, interested in. And that goes back to the, I guess, extroverted, introverted, extroverted conversation we had. Because I don't mind doing my own thing. I don't mind, doing everything on my own. But because I come from a sports background, the
Hmm.
camaraderie that comes with being on a team, I'm
Hmm.
very interested in the possibility, if it ever presented itself,
Hmm.
to have a team and be like a leader or the head honcho, so to speak.
Hmm.
But that's why I said I look up to like the Joe Buttons, the
Yeah.
Charlemagnes of the
Yeah.
world. You know what I'm saying? Because they have their own foundation or their own brand or entity that they employ other people with, and
Hmm.
provide opportunities. Of course, nothing but positive vibes. I don't
Oh,
want
for
to. I don't
sure.
want to run people per se, but I believe I'm a. I was a coach. I have like a good leadership. And the thing about my leadership is I know how to listen to other people because the leaders don't
Oh,
know
that's very
everything.
much true.
You get what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so that's something I'm definitely interested in. So I wanted to see, if that was something that you were interested in because everybody is not interested in having a team or leading something like that. And it's very okay. Nothing is wrong
Yeah.
with that at
Yeah.
all. But
Absolutely.
just to, get some insight on that.
But
Now,
I come from a world where
hmm
when I was reporting, and even like in anything that I've ever done,
hmm
I was a person that was shooting my own video,
hmm
editing my stuff, setting up my own live shots, even in voiceovers. I record myself, I edit it. I call my husband to be like, hey, can you just make sure my audio's good?
right.
Like I'm just so used to being, that's just like kind of my creative space. I guess I'm
I mean,
like, don't touch my stuff.
it's okay.
This is mine.
Sometimes it's okay to be selfish. Like I feel like we have to have a good balance of
Elements. Yes.
selflessness and selfishness.
Yes.
It's
Yes. Yes.
okay as long as the selfishness is not detrimental or hurts anyone like
Absolutely.
purposely.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's in a respectful way, then it's
Mhm.
okay.
You think I've been respectful?
Of course,
Okay.
definitely. So as we wrap up this very interesting and entertaining interview, I would like you to tell the people how do you get in contact with Mandy, your social media platform or
Sure.
tags, and whatever it is when it comes to wanting to book you for a
Yeah.
voiceover. Let them know.
Sure. So if you're interested in just listening to some of my work, you can go to my website at amvocal.com. If you're interested in seeing some recent stuff that I've done or just kind of to get to know me a little bit more, the person behind the mic, you can find me on Instagram. My name is Mandy VO_moves. And follow me.
Well, that's great. I really did enjoy this conversation. You gave a lot of insight, a lot of information that I was not aware of, and I'm sure a lot of my subscribers weren't aware of as well, or anyone that comes across this podcast. Now, with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed. And again, Mandy.
You're welcome.
And don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all again next time.
When I hit the scene, best believe it's going digital. Big super clean, add on lean, got me good to go. Yeah, I'm with my team, counting green, stacking plenty more. VIP status at the club, pulling all the hoes.